So, Daniel, we got a story about what's happening in the great state of Michigan. Do you want to know what's going on in Michigan?
There's a great state of Michigan. I thought it was just Michigan.
Okay, well, that's
Sorry, Michigan. I'm being a jerk for no reason. Pretend I didn't say anything.
So, Michigan judge rules RFK Jr. must remain on the ballot. Okay, interesting. When there's been this whole massive wave to remove third parties and independents off the debate stage, off the platforms, so that to remove RFK Jr. off the debate stage, off the ballot, all that kind of stuff. So a judge in Michigan ruled Tuesday that independent Robert F. Kennedy Jr. must stay on the state's presidential ballot. Gee, now you want him on the ballot. I wonder. Kennedy announced earlier this month that he would be withdrawing from the race and threw his support behind former President Donald Trump, which was a very historic endorsement and took away all of Kamala's gains during the DNC convention that followed the weekend. He said he was trying to take his name off the ballots in swing states, where if he stayed on ticket, he could draw votes away from the former president, Donald Trump. He'll remain on blue and red state ballots. So, okay, hold on. Pause right there. I don't want to see you guys talk. So Michigan and Wisconsin, key Midwest purple states, rejected Kennedy's attempt to remove his name off the ballot, citing their state laws for a candidate or nominee withdrawing. Gee, how freaking convenient. In North Carolina, the state's board of elections said it was too late for Kennedy to withdraw since the ballots had already begun being printed. Kennedy filed a lawsuit in an attempt to remove his name. Kennedy filed a similar lawsuit in Michigan's Court of Claims against Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson after his attempt to be removed from the ballot was rejected. A judge Tuesday determined Kennedy will appear on Michigan's ballot this November, the Associated Press reported. While Kennedy's candidacy may not dramatically change the 2024 presidential race, his decision to withdraw does have potential to move the needle in states where the margin is already so slim between Trump and Vice President Harris, including in Michigan. So why is this important? Because in this article here, what a surprise. Pausing right here. Pause. Trump holds narrow lead over Harris in Michigan poll. So perhaps the reason why Michigan State and the judge has ruled is that because, if RFK Jr. is still on the ballot, he'll take away support from Trump. So former President Trump is holding a very narrow lead over Vice President Harris in Michigan, a new local poll found. A survey conducted by WDIV Detroit News found that Trump leads Harris with 44.7% support to her 43.5%. The outlet said that it's a statistical toss-up in the key battleground state. Just less than 5% of voters say they would cast their ballot for independent candidate Robert F. Kennedy Jr., name sounds familiar, who is attempting to remove his name from the ballot in swing states like Michigan after backing Trump. Michigan's Secretary of State declined Kennedy's request. And so there are 2.8% of Michigan voters who say they would choose another third-party option, and 4.8% say that they are still undecided about whom they will vote for. Among the definite voters, Harris just barely takes the lead with 45.7%. Trump trails Harris with 44.1% support among the definite voters. By the way, again, these are just polls right now. Voter turnout is key. I mean, you could call up somebody. Who are you going to vote for? Do they show up on election night? Do they do early voting? Daniel, I want to get your thoughts on this.
So we know historically Trump does better than he's polled to do. So that's one thing. I think, okay, so what are my thoughts on this? This is just politicking effectively in the modern era where we're not trying to win by words, but win by structurally affecting the election. I think it's a big issue. Everything we could say on it, we were kind of already said, though. I do think it's interesting that I guess it really isn't. I'm kind of stuck between looking at this as interesting that this is happening for all the reasons that you've already laid out, but at the same time, this feels like exactly what we expected to happen. It's, if everyone's trying to do what they can to rig their election in their favor, and they're pretending that the other side are the only people doing it. And this is just an example.
Yeah. What I find fascinating is that throughout this entire year, and even early on in 2023, there's been this massive attack and huge media coverage towards third parties. I mean, in comparison to what we saw in 2016 and 2020, 2024, I mean, third parties got a lot of media attention, mostly negative, but in many ways it was a boost because, you had RFK Jr., Cornel West, Dr. Jill Stein, and by some extent, Chase Oliver, the Libertarian Party, making names for themselves. And yet, before things really shifted, especially after July and after August, or during July and August of this year of 2024, we have seen such a big shift in regards towards how voters are going to be reacting and participating. And, with Trump almost getting assassinated and then destroying Biden at the debate stage. And then, of course, you have Kamala Harris being appointed and anointed. It was a do or die moment. And especially after the DNC convention where RFK Jr. took or suspended his campaign. I mean, that was a huge boon for Trump. And the very fact now he's trying to remove his name off the ballot, you would think the Democrats or either that anyone that hates third parties would do that. But oh no, now he's up there because it's useful to them. I just find it, whenever you hear somebody say that third parties are a distraction or a spoiler, just remember they are not serious and they're lying to you. They only say it because they're really worried about what can happen to their candidate, which is, again, says a lot about the Democrats as a whole, because they go after Jill Stein. They're trying to get her off the ballot, but now RFK Jr. can stay on the ballot because of what could hurt Trump. See, they're speaking out of both sides of their mouths now, and I having these debates against people who say that third parties are wrong and that they cause a problem. You have to be consistent with me. Be real with me. Give me a real solid reason why you're triggered by third parties, because it tells me, and Daniel, you've seen it here before, that people are not taking their job seriously when it comes down to winning and earning the vote from the voters. Dan, I want to get your commentary. Yeah. Am I missing something? Your thoughts?
No, I think that's, again, it's like anything I could say is more just like you're saying everything that needs to be said specifically on this point. Like anything I would say would be a much bigger look at this same problem. But yeah, it's kind of what I've been saying is that people right now in this specific era aren't interested in what the objective reality is. They're interested in winning the shortest term battle and not being consistent with an ideology.
Exactly. And I want everyone to understand, on election night, you're going to make your own choice. Heartlands Media, we're not endorsing anybody. Now, I've said on the show that I'm in full support of third parties and independents, and I would encourage you, my viewers, why did I say the Freudian slip there? I'm not running for office. My viewers, to make your own choice. And if you're going to vote for Kamala or Trump, hey, guess what? That's your choice too. And if you're not going to vote at all, fine. I would say if you're not going to vote for any candidate, if you live in a citizen ballot initiative state, vote for ballot initiatives, of course. But, when you vote, guess what? Now you're done and you have to move on with the rest of your life. And now you cannot control the outcome of what's going to happen on election night. And I would say, especially to third parties now, if this doesn't motivate you to get serious, to really start building infrastructure, I don't know what else I could say to you guys to really help you going forward. Because me and Daniel,
I could offer something.
Go ahead.
Right now, everything is insane. We've already established that. But it also means that if you're able to act sane in this insanity, this is the time where you can actually build something. So we know that a few people are starting political channels now. This is actually the perfect time if you're able to make it happen. It's the hardest time economically to make it work, but it's the perfect time to start. We need people that are willing to fight for an objective reality. And right now, there's just all the powers that be are corporations can't keep making 3% every 90 days forever. And everyone's this just reminds me of how all the countries acted right before World War I happened. They're acting insanely, but from their point of view, it's rational. And we're just watching basically mass mental issues happening countrywide. We just got to wait for it to burn itself out. There's really nothing productive that can happen until that occurs.
Yes, and by the way, Dwayne Vogel, you're wrong. I did not make my announcement for running for president, so there you go. I'm not running for president of these United States. I'm running for emperor. What? Anyways. No, so look, folks, it's just interesting what's going to be happening in Michigan. And on election night, depending on what's going on, especially what happens in this month and in October, we could very well do an election night coverage. I'll do everything I can. I have a lot of responsibilities that will be coming my way in the holidays. No such thing as an easy holiday, but we will be covering it and giving our thoughts and analysis of it, especially what happens at the end of this election cycle. So stay tuned to Hard Lens Media.